Now, welcome to a really crucial session in our journey on concussion recovery. Today, we're focusing on why and how to regulate your nervous system, a step that's absolutely vital for your healing process. Now, let's back up a little bit and talk about your central nervous system. Now, the central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord, and it's like the CEO of our body. It makes all the big decisions and sends out instructions. But for the day-to-day operation, it relies on the autonomic nervous system, or the ANS. And the ANS is split into two main pathways, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic systems, each with its own set of responsibilities. First, let's talk about the sympathetic system. Think of it as your body's fight or flight response. It prepares you for action. And when it kicks in, your heart rate increases, your pupils dilate, your blood vessels dilate, and your body is diverting vital energy to essential survival tasks. It's like pressing the gas pedal in your car. It really gears you up for a quick response. And on the other hand, we have the parasympathetic nervous system, which is all about rest and digest. It's what calms your body down after the rush. And when this pathway is activated, it slows down the heart rate, constricts the pupils, constricts the blood vessels, and stimulates the salivary gland. And it focuses on digestion and muscle building, and it signals to the body that you are safe. You can think of this as the brake pedal, slowing things down and conserving energy. Now, both systems are really important and work in harmony to keep our bodies functioning optimally. During concussion recovery, understanding and balancing these systems becomes especially important because they can be really thrown off by the trauma of the injury. So when a concussion happens, it's not just a momentary event. It sets off a chain reaction in your body and really disrupts the balance between these two components, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. And it often leads to an overactive sympathetic nervous system. So what exactly happens when this sympathetic nervous system takes over? Well, imagine your body constantly being in this state of fight or flight, of high alert. Your heart rate remains higher and it struggles to adapt to even small physical demands. And in this state of constantly feeling like it has to look out for danger and be prepared for the so-called bear that's around the corner, it's not hard to imagine that this can lead to feelings of constant fatigue and an inability to engage in everyday activities without feeling overwhelmed. Now, as we mentioned, one of the most important roles of the nervous system is to regulate the diameter of our blood vessels. The sympathetic activation acts to constrict the blood vessels so that blood pressure can really be increased to push this blood to our organs and our muscles in order to really gear your body up for a quick response, while parasympathetic activation dilates the vessels and allows blood pressure to slow down. So as you can imagine, if your nervous system is out of balance, there is an altered blood flow moving throughout the body, including blood flow to the brain. And the brain, which requires really regulated blood flow to function optimally, therefore is suffering. So an overactive sympathetic system means your brain isn't getting the right amount of blood flow it needs. And this can manifest as symptoms like dizziness or brain fog and even headaches. But while for some people blood pressure might increase, for others it might decrease, the main point is that the nervous system imbalance leads to dysregulated blood flow, which leads to many of your PCS symptoms. But it's not only about the heart rate and the blood pressure. With the body in a prolonged state of fight or flight, it's all the functions of the sympathetic nervous system. So for example, when your body is in a state of fight or flight, digestion, for example, is no longer a priority, sometimes leading to gastrointestinal issues and also increased inflammation. Now, in turn, these digestive disruptions and inflammation, which we'll talk more about in our diet session, can further compound your discomfort and slow down the overall recovery process. So as you can see, everything is really linked. And increased sympathetic activity can also lead to sleep disruptions, headaches, sweating abnormalities, light sensitivities, exercise intolerance, sinus pressure, other aches, pains, pressures, and a really common symptom of ANS dysfunction, or dysautonomia it's called, is in fact orthostatic intolerance. And this means that you feel very dizzy or faint when you are standing up too quickly. So this is a very big sign that you might be experiencing a heightened sympathetic response. Also, as you can imagine, all this heightened sympathetic fight or flight tone can really spike your anxiety levels. And this can kind of become a cycle as anxiety then further exacerbates your sympathetic response, creating kind of a feedback loop that makes calming down even more challenging. So, what is our primary goal in this recovery phase? Well, to bring calmness back to your nervous system, to transition from that constant state of stress to a state of balance and healing. And this is really vital because a hyperactive nervous system really stops the body from allowing to engage with those natural healing processes. It's like trying to repair a car while it's still running at full speed, which is obviously very ineffective and unsustainable. Now, I just want to stress that addressing this ANS imbalance is going to really lay the foundations for our understanding of concussion recovery. Because by restoring this balance, we set the stage for every other recovery aspect to fall into place. Remember, recovery is not just about treating the symptoms, it's about treating the underlying systems that govern your body's response to the injury.